Cook County Jail, one of America's largest detention centers. Inside these walls, gang empires rise and fall, controlling contraband, influence, and life itself. What the public doesn't see is how deeply organized these networks are, and how a single misstep can cost an inmate their life. Before we uncover the unseen empires ruling Chicago's jail, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on every shocking revelation. The invisible kingdoms of Cook County Jail. Cook County Jail, located in the heart of Chicago, is more than just a detention facility. It's a city within a city, a microcosm of street life magnified behind steel and concrete. Housing more than 6,000 inmates at any given time, it is one of the largest single-site jails in the United States. Its notoriety isn't just due to its size or overcrowding, it is infamous for the intricate web of gang politics that dictate daily life. For inmates, survival doesn't depend solely on avoiding fights or following guard orders. It's about allegiance, respect, and the subtle hierarchies that have evolved over decades. Within the sprawling facility, the gang landscape mirrors the streets outside. Major street organizations like the Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, and Latin Kings exert influence far beyond the bars and cell doors. Their reach extends into housing units, recreation areas, and even court corridors, creating networks that rival organized crime syndicates. These groups control everything from smuggled cell phones and illicit drugs to protection rackets and communication with outside crews. Law enforcement reports confirm that these gangs operate with military precision, using coded messages, hand signs, and clandestine meetings to maintain authority. Former inmates describe the daily choreography of life under gang rule. A misstep, a glance at the wrong person, a misplaced word, or a failure to pay a protection fee can trigger violent consequences. Inmates who resist gang influence face isolation, beatings, or worse. In one 2022 Cook County Jail report, investigators detailed an instance in which a newly arrived detainee was assaulted for refusing to align with a dominant faction. The attacker was a respected lieutenant within the gang hierarchy, enforcing order and sending a clear message. Non-compliance would not be tolerated. The jail's administration is acutely aware of the invisible power these gangs wield. Correctional officers describe corridors as living ecosystems, where subtle gestures and interactions reveal the undercurrents of power. Officers themselves often navigate these dynamics cautiously, knowing that heavy-handed approaches can backfire. Smuggling, for instance, is not merely contraband circulation, it's currency, a tool for negotiation and a form of governance. A single smartphone can be worth thousands, allowing inmates to coordinate with street crews, arrange hits, or manipulate legal proceedings outside the jail. The historical roots of these gangs in Cook County are deeply tied to Chicago's socio-economic landscape. Decades of systemic inequality, poverty, and segregated neighborhoods created fertile ground for gang culture to thrive. When young men and women enter the jail, they carry the codes, alliances, and rivalries of the streets into the facility. Over time, these affiliations solidify into powerful structures, making gangs indispensable to survival. Even inmates who initially resist often find themselves co-opted, drawn into a network that offers protection, resources, and social order amidst the chaos. Investigations into Cook County Jail reveal that gang influence isn't just anecdotal, it's documented. Federal lawsuits, internal audits, and investigative journalism have consistently highlighted systemic challenges in managing gang activity. The notorious Tier 10 units, for example, have long been recognized as hubs for gang leadership, where key figures strategize and communicate with the outside world. Officers report that even casual interactions can trigger chain reactions of violence or negotiation, demonstrating the depth of the jail's social ecosystem. Among the most telling insights are the personal stories of those who survived these systems. A former member of the Latin Kings, released in 2023 after serving a decade-long sentence, recalls the first weeks behind bars as walking into a minefield. He described memorizing the layout of each tier, noting which inmates controlled access to commissary items, where clandestine exchanges occurred, and how hierarchy dictated movement. Failure to understand these dynamics, he explains, often meant swift punishment, sometimes fatal. These narratives highlight the intersection of human psychology, street culture, and institutional power within America's largest urban jails. The power of these unseen empires extends to legal and administrative spheres. Court documents indicate that gang influence can dictate witness cooperation, jury intimidation, and even the willingness of inmates to testify. Lawyers representing clients in high-stakes cases often must account for jail dynamics when preparing for trial. This control stretches beyond physical confines, shaping the criminal justice process and, in many cases, complicating attempts at rehabilitation. Yet, despite the pervasive influence of gangs, the jail isn't a monolithic entity. Rivalries between factions create volatile flashpoints, while informal alliances often emerge for pragmatic reasons: access to medical care, meal distribution, or protection against predatory inmates. Officers report that understanding these alliances is critical for maintaining order. Those who fail to recognize or respect the intricate balance can inadvertently ignite violent confrontations. For outsiders, Cook County Jail appears as a simple detention center, a place where criminals are punished. The reality is far more complex. It is a sophisticated ecosystem where survival depends on understanding a web of invisible hierarchies, allegiances, and power plays. Each day brings new challenges, strategies, and conflicts, forcing inmates to navigate a landscape as treacherous as any Chicago street corner. And yet, amid this chaos, life persists. Inmates form networks for education, religious worship, and even entrepreneurial ventures, some sanctioned by the jail, others entirely underground. These activities coexist with the darker undercurrents, creating a dual reality where opportunity and danger are inseparable. The stories emerging from Cook County Jail reveal not only the grip of gang empires, but also the resilience, cunning, and survival instincts of those caught within its walls. Kings of the concrete jungle, gang hierarchies. Inside Cook County Jail, in Cook County Jail, power is structured, calculated, and brutal. While outsiders often imagine chaos and randomness, the reality is a meticulously organized network of gangs that mirror their street operations. Among the most dominant are the Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, and Latin Kings, organizations with decades-long histories in Chicago's neighborhoods, now transplanted into the jail system. These groups don't merely survive behind bars, they thrive, adapting to confinement by turning social structures, contraband, and fear into instruments of authority. The Gangster Disciples, originating from the South Side in the late 1960s, maintain a sophisticated chain of command even inside jail walls. Leaders known as elders or OGs oversee operations, often coordinating from the most secure tiers. These elders assign responsibilities to younger members. Some handle contraband smuggling, others enforce rules or collect protection fees, while a select few manage communications with street crews outside the facility. The influence of these individuals is so extensive that even correctional officers describe them as the unofficial administration of the jail's population. In one 2021 internal report, deputies noted that Gangster Disciples members had orchestrated the smuggling of phones, drugs, and even weapons into the jail, with orders coming from figures who never left their cells. Similarly, the Vice Lords command considerable control, particularly in the North Division of Cook County. Their influence extends into every facet of inmate life, from recreation areas to the commissary. The Vice Lords have been documented using intricate hand signaling systems and coded language to convey messages, bypassing guards and circumventing surveillance. In a notable 2020 incident, a Vice Lord lieutenant coordinated a day-long standoff over tier assignments, which could have escalated into widespread violence if not for the intervention of the jail's special response teams. Their ability to enforce loyalty, mediate conflicts, and intimidate rivals demonstrates the depth of their organizational structure inside the facility. The Latin Kings, historically rooted in Chicago's West Side, maintain a strict hierarchical code emphasizing loyalty, respect, and adherence to the Queen's rules, a complex set of directives governing member behavior. In the jail context, this translates into control over housing units, protection services, and even access to legal resources. Officers report that members often serve as unofficial enforcers of order, mediating disputes, distributing goods, and maintaining discipline, all while simultaneously engaging in illicit operations. Court documents from 2019 reveal that Latin King's leadership within Cook County Jail coordinated efforts to funnel contraband into other correctional facilities, leveraging alliances with Gangster Disciples and vice lords to expand their reach beyond city limits. The interaction between these gangs is rarely static. While alliances are forged for mutual benefit, rivalries remain deadly. For example, a 2022 investigative report by the Chicago Tribune highlighted a coordinated attack between Gangster Disciples and Latin Kings, targeting a vice lord stronghold in Tier 9. Inmates described a carefully orchestrated plan. Weapons were hidden in laundry carts, messages were passed via contraband phones, and loyalists within the attacked unit created distractions to facilitate the assault. While correctional officers intervened before fatalities occurred, several inmates suffered serious injuries. This incident illustrates the precision, strategy, and audacity that define gang operations within the jail. Control over contraband is central to gang power. Items like cell phones, drugs, and tobacco serve as currency, status symbols, and tools of coercion. Inmates with access to smuggling networks command respect, while those without risk marginalization or violence. A 2021 federal investigation into Cook County Jail revealed that some inmates generated monthly revenues exceeding thousands of dollars by controlling contraband distribution. These operations are not isolated. They involve coordination across multiple tiers, communication with outside street crews, and meticulous enforcement of loyalty and repayment. Gang hierarchies ensure that every transaction and every act of enforcement reinforces the leadership's dominance. Survival in this environment demands understanding unwritten rules. New inmates quickly learn that social missteps can be fatal. Even seemingly minor infractions, speaking to the wrong person, failing to show proper respect, or ignoring a gang's directive, can result in beatings or solitary confinement. Former inmates describe the first weeks behind bars as an initiation into a world governed less by law and more by coded behavior, observation, and alliances. You have to watch everything, every glance, every word, every move, one ex-Gangster Disciples member told journalists. If you misstep, someone's watching, and there's no second chance. While the gangs wield tremendous power, their influence is challenged by the administration and internal rivalries. Correctional officers, intelligence units, and federal investigators constantly monitor communications, using both overt and covert methods to disrupt operations. Yet gangs adapt quickly. In 2022, officers reported that encrypted messaging apps and improvised signals allowed inmates to maintain control despite increased surveillance. Even when leadership is disrupted, lower-tier members often rise to fill vacuums, demonstrating the resilience and adaptability of these organizations. The stakes of gang involvement extend beyond physical dominance. Influence over legal proceedings, testimony, and cooperation can determine the outcome of trials. Lawyers representing gang-affiliated clients often navigate a delicate balance, mindful of the potential repercussions for both defendants and witnesses. In some cases, gangs exert pressure to delay hearings, intimidate witnesses, or manipulate evidence, illustrating the intersection of criminal enterprise, jail power, and judicial processes. Despite the danger, some inmates manage to navigate this world strategically, leveraging gang connections for protection or opportunity without fully submitting to control. Others attempt to avoid entanglement entirely, often at great personal risk. For every inmate who survives without incident, dozens face assaults, intimidation, or coercion. The complex interplay of fear, loyalty, and strategy underscores the harsh reality of life within Cook County Jail. Hidden economies, contraband and smuggling networks in Cook County Jail. Beyond cell doors and concrete walls, an unseen economy thrives inside Cook County Jail, a sophisticated network of smuggling, trade, and illicit enterprise. While most outsiders imagine prison life as strictly regulated, the reality is far more nuanced. Items that may seem mundane on the outside, cell phones, cigarettes, over-the-counter medications, or even hygiene products, are converted into currency, status symbols, and bargaining tools, creating an underground economy where control equals power and power equals survival. At the heart of this system are the gangs, Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, and Latin Kings. Each operates a highly organized distribution network, carefully designed to avoid detection by correctional staff while maintaining authority over their territories. These networks are structured like corporate supply chains. Leadership assigns operatives to specific tiers, monitors demand, and ensures enforcement of repayment and loyalty. For example, a Gangster Disciples lieutenant may coordinate the movement of contraband from visiting areas to target tiers, using trusted inmates as couriers and intermediaries. The smuggling methods are both inventive and audacious. According to federal investigations and internal jail reports, contraband is introduced through multiple avenues. Visitors hiding items in clothing or personal belongings, corrupt staff facilitating transfer for cash or favors, drones dropped from outside the perimeter, and legal cleverly manipulated to conceal prohibited items. Each operation requires meticulous planning. A single misstep can lead to widespread confiscation or violent retribution from leadership. Cell phones represent one of the most valuable commodities. A single smartphone can sell for hundreds of dollars, providing inmates with the ability to communicate with street crews, manage gang operations, or coordinate illicit activities outside jail walls. In 2022, a Cook County internal audit revealed that inmates using contraband phones successfully orchestrated a multi-tier narcotics distribution ring extending into Chicago neighborhoods. Messages sent from Tier 10, a high-security section of the jail, instructed street-level members on collection points, delivery times, and evasion strategies, illustrating the real-world impact of these clandestine networks. Drugs are another pillar of this hidden economy. Despite rigorous searches and surveillance, narcotics continue to flow within the facility. Reports indicate that gangs control distribution meticulously, pricing substances according to demand, tier, and perceived risk. Marijuana, opioids, and synthetic cannabinoids are common, often exchanged for favors, protection, or influence. In one documented incident from 2021, an inmate caught attempting to smuggle fentanyl into Tier 8 triggered an internal power struggle, resulting in a violent enforcement operation by gang leadership. Such events demonstrate the stakes involved and the lengths gangs will go to protect their economic interests. Tobacco and other contraband items also play a critical role. While seemingly minor, these items act as informal currency, particularly among newer inmates who lack established connections. Cigarettes can be traded for meals, favors, or protection, creating a microeconomy that reinforces hierarchical structures. A 2019 investigative report noted that some gang members maintained meticulous ledgers, mental or written, tracking trades, debts, and obligations, ensuring that every transaction consolidated their influence. C. Corruption among staff occasionally facilitates these operations. While most correctional officers uphold their duties, cases of collusion have been documented. Federal lawsuits filed in 2018 and 2020 detail instances where staff provided inmates with access to contraband in exchange for bribes, ranging from cash to cell phones. These breaches not only embolden gang operations, but also challenge the administration's ability to maintain order, forcing increased surveillance and intervention measures. The social consequences of these underground economies are profound. Inmates who control smuggling networks gain status, protection, and influence. Conversely, those excluded face isolation, vulnerability, and increased risk of violence. Former detainees describe an ecosystem in which participation in contraband trade is often unavoidable. Refusal can be interpreted as weakness or defiance, inviting punishment from leadership. In some cases, the pressure to engage in these networks begins immediately upon arrival, as newcomers are evaluated and approached by established members. The smuggling economy also intersects with the broader criminal justice system. Lawyers, court officials, and law enforcement must account for inmate communication and influence when handling trials, witness coordination, and legal strategy. Reports from the Cook County Public Defender's Office indicate that gang-controlled phones have been used to intimidate witnesses, delay proceedings, and manipulate case outcomes. In essence, the illicit operations inside the jail have tangible consequences outside its walls. Technology has amplified these operations. Encrypted messaging applications, improvised communication systems, and covert signaling allow gang leaders to maintain control even under heightened surveillance. In 2021, a report from the Cook County Sheriff's Office documented the discovery of an inmate-operated command center using multiple phones, signal relays, and coded instructions to coordinate actions across tiers. This sophistication reflects not only organizational capability, but also the adaptability of gangs in a high-risk, highly monitored environment. Yet despite these challenges, the jail administration continually adapts. Surveillance cameras, random inspections, and intelligence units work to disrupt smuggling operations. Programs encouraging education, vocational training, and rehabilitation aim to provide alternatives for inmates, though participation often intersects with gang influence, requiring careful navigation. The tension between enforcement and adaptation is constant. Every seizure or crackdown prompts new methods, highlighting the cat-and-mouse nature of contraband management. Ultimately, the hidden economies of Cook County Jail reveal a profound truth. Power and survival are inseparable from resource control. Gangs dominate not just through fear, but through strategic management of goods, information, and relationships. Every contraband transaction reinforces authority. Every phone call extends influence beyond bars, and every successful operation validates the hierarchy. Life inside the jail is shaped by these invisible networks, and understanding them is key to comprehending the broader dynamics of control, loyalty, and survival. The last word from Cook County Jail. Cook County Jail is more than a detention facility. It is a living, breathing ecosystem. A city within walls, where gang empires rise and fall, contraband circulates like currency, and every decision carries life or death consequences. From the Gangster Disciples' tiered hierarchies to the Vice Lord's strategic influence and the Latin King's disciplined codes, the jail mirrors the streets of Chicago, magnified behind steel and concrete. What happens inside these walls doesn't stay confined. Phones, smuggled goods, and alliances extend influence far beyond the jail, shaping the lives of communities, families, and the criminal justice system itself. Every fight, every transaction, every secret meeting contributes to an intricate web of power few outsiders can comprehend, until now. For those living outside the jail walls, it is easy to assume that order exists simply through guards, bars, and regulations. The truth is far more complex. Control inside Cook County Jail is earned, enforced, and maintained through strategy, loyalty, and sometimes brutal enforcement. Life here is dictated by invisible empires, where understanding the rules can mean survival, and ignorance can mean disaster. If this glimpse into the unseen worlds of Cook County Jail has shocked, intrigued, or surprised you, remember, the story doesn't end here. Every day, new inmates arrive, alliances shift, and the delicate balance of power evolves. The empires inside these walls are not static. They are alive, dynamic, and relentless. Before you leave, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to uncover more stories that the world doesn't want you to see. From the heart of America's most notorious prisons to the hidden networks that control life inside. Your subscription helps us continue exposing the unseen truths, one story at a time.